If you're over 60 and still waking up in the night to pee, or leaking when you laugh or cough, this might surprise you. It's not just aging. It's 6 everyday habits you probably don't even think about. One of them? Most women believe it's healthy, but it's quietly making bladder control worse. I've worked with women who planned their days around bathrooms, skipped events, or even avoided hugging their grandkids. But when they changed just a few of these habits, their lives transformed. Confidence returned. Freedom followed. You don't need expensive treatments or adult diapers, just awareness and small adjustments. So before you blame age or feel stuck, listen closely. Because this isn't just a list, it's your roadmap back to feeling comfortable, confident, and in control. Let's start with the first habit. It's one nearly every woman gets wrong, and it might be the reason you're still rushing to the bathroom today. 1. Holding it in. The bladder training myth. Let me introduce you to Linda. She's 72, sharp as ever, and swears by something she calls bladder training. Every morning, she tells herself, "I won't go until I really have to." She thinks she's making her bladder stronger, just like exercising a muscle. But here's the truth. Holding it in for too long doesn't build strength. It builds confusion. The bladder is a muscle, yes, but it's also part of a complex system that depends on timing, signals, and coordination. When you constantly stretch it beyond its comfort zone, it starts misfiring. You feel sudden urges at the wrong times, or worse, no signal at all until it's too late. And the muscles in your pelvic floor, the ones that help keep everything in place, start to wear out. That's when leaks happen. Not because you're weak, but because your body's under pressure it shouldn't be. Many women believe that toughing it out gives them more control. But it's not about toughness. It's about rhythm. Try this instead. Set a timer to use the bathroom every 2 to 3 hours. Not when you're desperate, not when it's already an emergency, but regularly, calmly. This helps retrain your bladder to function smoothly. It turns panic into peace, and the difference it makes is bigger than you think. If you're still here, that tells me something important. You care about your health, your comfort, and your freedom. And that already sets you apart. You're not just watching a video, you're taking back control. So if this message is hitting home, comment number 2 to let us know you're loving this content. And if there's something we could do better, comment number 0. We're here to grow with you. Now, what if I told you your favorite morning ritual, the one that helps you wake up and feel alive, might be the very thing keeping you trapped in this cycle? Let's talk about that next. 2. Your morning cup is not so innocent. Susan, 68, begins every day the same way. 2 strong cups of black coffee while reading the newspaper in her sunroom. It's her moment of calm, her daily ritual. But by mid-morning, she's already made 3 urgent trips to the bathroom. Grocery runs become stressful. Doctor's appointments start with a scan for the nearest restroom. It's as if her bladder is in charge, and she's just along for the ride. What Susan doesn't realize is that her beloved coffee is a double-edged sword. Caffeine acts as a diuretic, telling the kidneys to produce more urine. At the same time, it's a bladder stimulant, making the muscles twitchy and overly reactive. That means not only are you producing more liquid, but your bladder becomes hypersensitive to every drop. One moment you're fine, then suddenly you're racing to the bathroom in a panic. And here's the trickiest part. That caffeine jolt we associate with energy? It's often just a cycle of stimulation and crash. For older adults, especially women over 60, the energy boost can come at the cost of bladder spasms, urgency, and unwanted leaks. The fix doesn't have to be dramatic. Start by cutting back to just 1 mild cup in the morning. Better yet, try switching to herbal teas, chamomile for calm, rooibos for natural sweetness. Both are gentle on your system and won't send your bladder into overdrive. It's not about giving up your comfort. It's about choosing comfort that doesn't fight against you. Because the truth is, what you put in your body first thing in the morning sets the tone for the entire day. But as you'll see next, even how you sit throughout the day could be quietly making things worse. 3. The recliner you love could be your worst enemy. Diane, 74, recently retired, enjoys her afternoons the same way many of us do, curled up in her favorite recliner, legs stretched out, back sunken deep into the cushions, sipping tea while watching crime dramas or working on her crossword. It feels relaxing, comforting, and familiar. But slowly, Diane began noticing something strange. A sudden urge to pee mid-show. Little leaks she'd never experienced before. At first, she blamed her tea, then her age. But she never considered the way she was sitting. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your posture has everything to do with your bladder health. When you slouch, legs elevated, pelvis tilted, shoulders curved, you're compressing your abdomen, which in turn pushes pressure downward onto your bladder. That added pressure makes it harder for the pelvic floor muscles to do their job. And those muscles? They're the last line of defense between you and an accident. Over time, poor posture doesn't just make your back ache, it weakens your body's internal support system. Think of it like this. Your bladder is a balloon. Your pelvic floor is the net holding it up. But if the net becomes loose or misaligned, the balloon sags, strains, and becomes unstable. That's when control slips, especially when you sneeze, laugh, or stand up too quickly. This isn't about sitting like a statue or avoiding your favorite chair. It's about small adjustments that protect you. Start with lumbar support. A small pillow or rolled towel behind your lower back can help realign your spine. Keep your feet flat on the floor, knees bent at a 90-degree angle, shoulders relaxed, and pelvis in a neutral position. Just sitting upright for a few hours a day can reduce pressure, improve circulation, and allow your pelvic muscles to function naturally again. And no, you don't have to give up your cozy recliner completely, but maybe use it for shorter periods or adjust your posture while you're in it. These subtle shifts can give your body the break it's been begging for without sacrificing your comfort, because sometimes it's not about what you do, but how you do it. And speaking of things that seem healthy on the surface, what if I told you that drinking too much water could actually make your bladder problems worse? Let's talk about that next. 4. The hydration trap. Too much of a good thing. Evelyn, 76, is one of those women who takes her health seriously. Ever since her doctor told her years ago to drink more water, she committed to it like a mission. 12 full glasses a day, sometimes more. Her water bottle? Always within arm's reach. Morning to night, she sips constantly, convinced she's doing her kidneys a favor and flushing out toxins. But then came the interruptions. Urgent bathroom trips while walking the dog. Waking up 2, even 3 times a night. Feeling like she always needed to pee, but often only a little came out. It became frustrating, exhausting, and frankly, confusing. After all, she was doing everything right. Or so she thought. Here's the hidden truth no one talks about. Hydration is important, but overhydration is real. And for older women, it can wreak havoc on the bladder. You see, your bladder isn't a giant storage tank. It's more like a balloon with a finite stretch limit. When it fills too quickly, too often, or too unpredictably, it doesn't have time to adjust or signal properly. That leads to urgency, frequency, and even incontinence. What's more, as we age, our bodies become more sensitive to fluid shifts. The kidneys may not filter as efficiently, the bladder muscles may not contract with the same strength, and the nervous system may lag in sending clear messages. Overloading that system, even with something as healthy as water, can make your body feel overwhelmed, anxious, and out of sync. There's also a psychological layer to this. When you're constantly drinking, you subconsciously become more aware of your bladder. Every twinge, every minor urge feels urgent. The result? You train your brain to respond to false alarms. You end up visiting the restroom more, not less, and your bladder loses its natural rhythm. So how much water should you drink? It depends on your size, your level of activity, and your climate. But a safe, effective range is usually 6 to 8 cups per day, spread steadily throughout the day, not all at once, not chugging in the morning, and definitely not guzzling right before bed. That last part matters more than you think. Drinking a large amount of water an hour or two before bedtime practically guarantees you'll be making at least one nighttime bathroom trip. That disrupts your sleep cycle, impacts your energy levels the next day, and in the long term, takes a toll on your mood and overall health. Evelyn had no idea her late-night water habit was the reason her nights were so fragmented. But once she made that simple shift, cutting fluids after 7 p.m., she began sleeping through the night again. Within a week, the difference was dramatic. Another helpful approach? Sip, don't gulp. Use a smaller water bottle, not a giant jug. Create natural pauses during the day where you drink. Mid-morning, lunch, mid-afternoon, early dinner. Treat hydration as a rhythm, not a race. And remember, you also get fluids from food, fruits, vegetables, soups, even smoothies. So you don't need to force gallons of water to stay hydrated. There's a dangerous myth out there that more water equals more health. But for older adults, especially women managing bladder changes, moderation is smarter than excess. Too much of anything, even something as pure as water, can backfire. Evelyn didn't stop drinking water. She just changed how she drank it. And that small shift gave her back hours of uninterrupted sleep, smoother days, and the confidence to leave her house without planning her route around bathrooms. Now, think about your own routine. Are you drinking more out of habit than thirst? Are you sipping out of fear of getting dehydrated? Or because your body is actually asking for it? Trust your body again. Listen to its natural signals and give it the rhythm and respect it needs. Because sometimes, even the most well-intentioned habits can quietly work against us. And now, as we move forward, we're about to uncover one of the least expected, most ignored causes of bladder leakage. A problem so common and so overlooked, it might be hiding in plain sight inside your own body right now. Let's look at that next. 5. The hidden link no one talks about. Constipation. Margaret is 81, soft-spoken, gentle, always brushing off her discomfort with a polite smile and a quiet, "I'm fine." But truthfully, she hadn't felt fine in months. Her digestion had slowed. Bowel movements became irregular, sometimes 2 or 3 days without relief. She felt bloated, heavy, uncomfortable. And then came the bladder problems. Sudden leaks, strong pressure in her lower belly, those heart-pounding moments where she almost made it to the bathroom, but not quite. At first, Margaret blamed everything else: tea, age, anxiety. But she never once considered that her bowels might be at the root of her bladder issues. It sounds strange, doesn't it? That constipation, something we think of as a gut problem, could affect your ability to control your bladder. But anatomically, it makes perfect sense. Your bladder and your bowels live side by side in your pelvic cavity. They share space, they share pressure, and they share support from the same group of muscles. Your pelvic floor. When your bowel is full, bloated, or backed up, it presses against your bladder like a heavy sack. That pressure creates confusion in the nerves responsible for signaling urgency. It also disrupts the muscular coordination needed to hold urine in or release it smoothly. Think of your pelvis like a busy intersection. When traffic, in this case stool, is jammed in one direction, it blocks the smooth flow in another. The result? Your bladder feels full before it is. Your pelvic floor struggles to respond correctly. And you end up with 2 issues instead of 1. Even worse, the act of straining on the toilet, which many women do without even realizing, adds another layer of pressure. Pushing hard to pass stool repeatedly weakens the pelvic muscles over time, making them less effective at supporting both the bowel and bladder. It becomes a vicious cycle. Constipation causes bladder stress, and bladder stress leads to more urgency, more leaks, and even more anxiety. So, how do you break the cycle? It starts with gentle, natural solutions. First, increase your fiber intake, slowly and steadily. Add fruits like pears, apples with the skin, or prunes. Choose vegetables rich in fiber, like spinach, carrots, or sweet potatoes. Whole grains, legumes, and oats can also help create bulk and soften stool. Second, hydrate properly, not excessively. Your digestive system needs water to move food along, but too much, as we mentioned before, overwhelms the bladder. The key is balance, enough water to keep things moving without flooding your system. Third, move your body. Gentle walks after meals, light stretching, even standing up a few extra times a day can help stimulate natural digestion. Motion is medicine for the bowels. And here's a simple yet powerful trick. Use a footstool when sitting on the toilet. Elevating your feet slightly changes the angle of your pelvis, allowing for a more natural and complete bowel movement. No straining, no forcing, just gravity and alignment working in your favor. Margaret started using a small stool from her bathroom cabinet. She added a few prunes to her breakfast, drank water with purpose, and walked the length of her hallway after dinner. Within 2 weeks, her bowels became more regular, and to her surprise, her bladder calmed down too. Fewer accidents, fewer urgent trips, more peace of mind. Constipation doesn't just steal your comfort, it silently sabotages your entire pelvic system. And yet, because it's so common, it often goes ignored. You deserve better than that. So don't overlook the quiet signals your body is sending. Pay attention to your digestion. It could be the key that unlocks everything else. Because, as you'll see in the next section, the most overlooked muscle in your entire body, one you've likely never trained, is the very muscle that could save you from future leaks altogether. And the best part? You can start strengthening it today, in under 5 minutes. 6. The muscle you've been ignoring for decades. Your pelvic floor. Martha is 79. She's strong, proud, and fiercely independent. She raised 4 kids, cooked every meal from scratch, and hardly ever asked for help. So when her doctor gently asked, "Are you doing any pelvic floor exercises?" she nearly laughed. "That's for young women," she said, "not someone my age." But behind that laugh was something she never said aloud: fear. The kind that builds slowly after each leak, each accident, each canceled outing. Fear that this was just how it ends. Pads, diapers, backup clothes in her purse. Fear that it was too late to change. Here's the truth, Martha, and millions of other women never heard. It is not too late. Not at 70, not at 80, not even at 90. Your pelvic floor is a group of muscles that act like a sling, holding your bladder, bowel, and uterus in place. These muscles control the opening and closing of your urethra and rectum. They contract when you cough, sneeze, lift, or laugh, and they relax when it's time to go. But like any muscle in the body, if you don't use them, they weaken. And over time, especially after childbirth, menopause, or years of inactivity, they can lose tone, sag, and fail to provide the support you need. That's when small leaks become frequent leaks. That's when urges become accidents. But just like your biceps or calves, your pelvic floor can be trained, strengthened, rebuilt. The most basic and effective way? Kegel exercises. Here's how you do them. 1. Identify the right muscles. Imagine you're trying to stop the flow of urine midstream. The muscles you engage, those are your pelvic floor. 2. Tighten those muscles gently. Hold for 3 to 5 seconds. Don't clench your abdomen, thighs, or buttocks, only the pelvic floor. 3. Release slowly and rest for a few seconds. 4. Repeat 10 to 15 times, up to 3 times a day. You can do Kegels anywhere, while brushing your teeth, watching TV, cooking dinner, even lying in bed. No equipment, no sweat, no embarrassment. Just consistent effort. And if you're not sure you're doing it right, that's okay. There are free apps, video guides, and even at-home pelvic floor trainers designed for women of all ages. You can also ask your doctor for a referral to a pelvic floor therapist who can help guide you through a routine tailored just for you. Martha started small, just 5 minutes a day. Within 2 weeks, she noticed fewer leaks when she sneezed. Within a month, she stopped bringing extra clothes when leaving the house. And within 2 months, she stood a little taller, smiled a little brighter, and stopped worrying about where the nearest bathroom was. But this isn't just about Kegels. It's about giving attention to a part of your body that's been quietly holding you together for decades. It's about replacing shame with strength and fear with progress. Because what holds your dignity together isn't just willpower, it's the muscles that support your core, the ones no one talks about, the ones you can start strengthening today. These 6 habits might seem simple. They might even sound like common sense. But when applied with consistency, with awareness, and with kindness toward yourself, they become powerful tools, tools that restore your comfort, your freedom, and your confidence. But before we wrap up, take a breath, because what comes next is the part most women skip entirely. The mindset shift, the quiet decision to stop accepting suffering as normal and start demanding a better, freer, more joyful version of life. Let's explore that together. A new way forward. You've just uncovered 6 everyday habits that may be quietly making your life harder. Habits that seem harmless, even healthy, but slowly chip away at your freedom, your confidence, your peace. And now that you know, you're no longer stuck. You're no longer powerless. Because with awareness comes choice. And choice? That's where change begins. This isn't about chasing perfection or reversing time. It's about reclaiming your strength, your comfort, your dignity. It's about no longer accepting leaks, accidents, or bathroom anxiety as just part of getting older. Because they don't have to be. Maybe you'll start with just one shift, standing a little taller, drinking with more balance, moving your body gently, or trying a few pelvic floor squeezes before bed. It doesn't take hours. It doesn't take money. It just takes intention. You've lived through so much. You've carried families, held others together, and kept going when things were hard. Now, your body is asking you to care for it the same way. You deserve to laugh without leaking, to sleep through the night, to leave your house without worry. If you've made it this far, that means something powerful. You're choosing to take your life back. One mindful habit at a time. And in the next video, we'll take that next step together towards strength, stability, and the freedom to live fully on your terms. Let's begin.